how many NBA players or how many people or coaches watch EuroLeague basketball or support EuroLeague basketball. I think there's two things that I wish that would have happened in my career that I never really got a really chance to do. Being yelled at by being yelled at by the coaches. Team went down, ended up scoring a fast break dunk. He called timeout, and I think he called me every curse word in the book. I'm a big advocate for Mike Batiste being a future EuroLeague head coach for sure.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the new, revamped, and we hope improved edition of EurohooPOD, the official podcast of EuroHoops Reloaded. I'm your host, Antonis Stroggylakis, and we really wanted someone truly, truly special as a guest to open this new run. Now, this guy doesn't need a specific introduction, but he definitely deserves a very specific introduction. He retired from basketball at the end of the previous season as the winningest US player of the modern EuroLeague era. 4 championship titles with 2 different teams. He was a 3-time Defensive Player of the Year. He was named to the All-Decade Team, of course. Most recently, also named as one of EuroLeague's best 25 players of this century. Some would also call him the EuroLeague GOAT among American players. I think he's too humble to even think of
Nah.
himself as that, right, Kyle Hines? Hello, Kyle.
Hello. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited and really happy to be here and get a chance to talk some EuroLeague hoops with you guys.
It's always a pleasure to talk with you, Kyle. Or is it Coach Kyle right now? Have you been have you gotten used to that, Coach Hines?
No, not yet. I'm still in the mindset and still in the mind frame of a player, but I'm getting used to it. I'm starting to get used to the other side of basketball. But no, I'm slowly getting used to it. Slowly, I guess you could say.
Now, from those who are not aware, Kyle Hines made the jump to coaching. This season, he's a player development assistant with the Brooklyn Nets. So his resume becomes bigger and bigger. Now that your first season as a coach is over and there is some time to soak it all in perhaps a bit, how was that experience for you? How was it coaching for the first time?
Uh, I mean, it was an amazing experience. I think first of all, I mean, going to a really great organization that's filled with a lot of amazing people, like the Brooklyn Nets was something special. I couldn't think of a better place for me to go to help me with throughout this transition period. As many know, I mean, the head coach Jordi Fernandez is Spanish, is European. So it's like to have opportunity to work with him in his inaugural and his first season as an NBA coach, I think made it even more special. To be part of be part of the staff and kind of be part of the genesis, or you could say the beginning of this new era of the Nets, I think was really special. And I think it was fun. I learned a lot. Happening to have an opportunity to be around, a lot of great players, like a lot of great basketball minds, and I think it was fun. And I think I like you said, I just realizing that the season was over because I really enjoyed it, and honestly, even though it's 82 games, it went by fast. And I think that was because me having the opportunity to learn and be around such a great group of people made it a great experience for me.
The Brooklyn Nets, one of the youngest teams in the NBA. You have a young roster, but essentially, since you were even when you were a player, you were acting as a mentor to younger guys. At Milano specifically, there are so many. I mean, I was talking to Zach Leday a few months ago, and he was talking about how you were also acting as a mentor to younger players like him, or even younger guys. What it's like having this mentor now as a coach? Is it different from you? It's probably different from when you were mentoring as a player, your teammates, but now you have to mentor some other players. How is that?
I mean, I think it's different, and I think it was one of the things I was learning and observing. Watching how other coaches handle that, and how other coaches build relationships and build the trust with the players. So I think from my side, because I was still so closely removed, like as everybody knows, I just retired last year. So I was still in the locker room and still in the trenches, and still understood, a lot of the things that they're going through because I was still living it. So I think for that standpoint, I think that's what kind of helped me kind of, relate to the younger players, and kind of help me relate to just players in general, not only in the organization, but also, younger players, like you mentioned, like Zach and, other guys that are still playing right now that I still reach out to and still talk to on a daily basis. So I think it's a little bit of the same, but I think it is a little bit different just because, when I was a player, I was able to kind of show it. I was able to kind of lead by example and, kind of be on the floor and kind of doing different things and was in the trenches every day. But now, as a I guess coach or as somebody that's kind of on an outside role, you kind of have to find different ways to kind of relate and kind of build that trust because you can't be on the floor. I can't get on the floor and set picks and set screens anymore. So for me, it's just more or less just trying to meet them on their on the same wavelength, I guess you could say, and be able to kind of just kind of give them a little bit of advice and kind of a little bit of expertise and maybe a different perspective. But overall, I think the most important factor is just building relationships, and I think that's what most about what all this is about. It's just building relationships with people and building relationships with players.
Now, when the summer began, I read that interview you had with Hoops Hype. It was after the summer league was over, if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken. And from what I was reading in the interview, you weren't exactly 100% sure if you want to follow the coaching path back then. To quote what you were saying, you said that you are still figuring out what you want to do because sometimes these opportunities are going to find you versus finding these opportunities. And you said that I think I'd like to be more of a front office position or a management side, running a team, running an organization. Now, did this experience, this season, change your perspective in any way? Maybe help you figure it out that, wow, this coaching thing might be the ideal for me?
I think for me, I think it's I guess you could say my biggest strength, but also my biggest weakness is that I want to do everything. Like I want to do everything,
Definitely
and
not
I
a
know that,
weakness.
yeah. So I know that it's not necessarily realistic, but I think like for me, like um, I want to do everything. Like any opportunity that comes in front of me, I'm such a curious person that I want to experience it and want to have the opportunity to do it. So as you said before, like I don't think if you would have talked to me last year around this time when I was still playing, would I think I would be here in this moment and doing the things that I have the privilege to do? No. But like I said before, like you never know what opportunities can come in front of you. And I think the biggest thing for me is always just try to be ready and always try to be open for these opportunities. So as I said before, I think been thankful that I've been able to experience the things I've been experienced, just coming off of retirement. And to answer your question, I'm still in kind of like an exploratory phase. Like I'm still just kind of like really just enjoying the moments of basketball and enjoying all these different opportunities and all these different people and all these different experiences I've been able to live over the past year. So I really think that that my path or whatever that's going to be is going to happen regardless. Like I said, but right now I'm just kind of just enjoying where I'm at and just like I said, trying to take advantage of all these opportunities I have to learn and grow within this great game of basketball.
And there's the European connection in a way with Jordi Fernandez. I mean, you're not
Yeah.
European, but he's from Spain, of course. Is this the reason he brought you to join the Brooklyn Nets? Why they offered you this position? How much played a part your European experience, the fact that you spent your entire career almost in the EuroLeague?
I think it's I mean that would be something you have to ask him. I think you gotta give a better answer, but I think like I said, I'm just thankful for the opportunity to being able to work with him every single day. Like I've learned so much from him. And I think me and him have been able to kind of have like the commonality of both being in European basketball, the love of EuroLeague basketball, the love of, just basketball in general. So, being able to like, watch games with him and, watch EuroLeague games and watch Euro Cup games and, talk about his experiences and talk about his journey as a head coach, I think has been definitely a great experience for me, a great learning experience for me. And I think, like I said, I think he's such just very just like special and unique coach that he's I guess you could say one of the few coaches that have had in the NBA in my opinion that have had experiences everywhere. He's experienced coming up from in Spain and Barcelona, who is arguably one of the best places as to develop coaches and to develop young players. So he's seen that firsthand. I mean, he was a player himself, and then also coming up, in the player development role with, starting out at IMG Academy, then, then going to the G League and then working his way up. I think he's experienced it all. And I think that, I think that's one of the things that makes him special is that he has the ability to relate to anybody, over the course of any paths in basketball. And I think that's what makes him, a special individual and a special coach. And hopefully, like you said, hopefully that's the reason why he he joined me, wanted me to join. But like I said, I look forward to the opportunity to continue to work and learn from him, every single day, because I think he's a really great coach, but I think he's even a better person to learn from.
Now that people are saying it's been debated, I mean, people are saying different things about it. I remember Kevin Durant saying that no, the gap between NBA and the European and international basketball isn't getting any smaller. Some would say that the gap is indeed getting smaller. Do you think that we have, of course, that we have international players becoming MVPs or being MVP favorites like this season? It's a completely different situation for European players in the NBA compared to, let's say, 20 years ago. Do you think that the NBA is learning more and more from the European basketball?
I think both. I mean, I think it's basketball is a truly collaborative sport. And I think that you can see that there's been a lot more, I guess you could say, intersection between, I guess you say, high level Europe, EuroLeague, and the NBA. I think, just in terms of the way the game is played, how the style of the game is played. I think you can see this season in EuroLeague that you can see that player teams are picking up more pace and, playing more of a higher level, style, more of
Everything
like
is
an
faster. Everything
NBA.
is faster.
Everything is faster now. I mean, just look at the example of like Paris. A lot of their pace and a lot of their things are moving up and down. And I think you can also see like in NBA basketball how they're using more and trying to manipulate the defenses in different ways and doing a lot of sets that you could probably see prevalent in Europe, like the, snap pick and roll, like, or people will call like the Spanish pick and roll, or different things and different ways and
The
different cuts and
Spanulis,
stuff
the
like that.
Spanulis system has been
This,
famous
this,
for years.
exactly, this Manula system and, different things that have been, going on. I think it's collaborative. I think that you can see a lot of coaches, now, speaking and talking to each other. So I think that the concept and the styles of the game are starting to intersect and start to intertwine a lot more than they probably were in past. A lot of that's probably doing with the technology, with the ability for coaches to speak and collaborate with each other and share ideas and talk to each other. And I think like I said, like I said before, I think the game moving forward, I think you're going to start to see a little more similarities. But the NBA is still the NBA. It still has the greatest players of the world. It still has the
Naturally.
greatest shot makers, athletes, of the world. But I think like, you're going to start to see a little bit more of a balance of styles between the two. I think so moving forward.
Let me put it a bit differently, perhaps. Is
Yeah.
European basketball maybe appreciated more in the NBA right now? I remember, let me give you a flash backward. I remember I was doing an interview with a former teammate, Malcolm Delaney, one of the
Yeah.
best US players of also, who played in
Yeah.
in the EuroLeague.
Shout out to Malcolm.
And and I was asking him if he feels that the achievements of American players in the EuroLeague are perhaps ignored in the USA completely. That no one cares about what these guys are doing overseas. Do you think that people are, with its passing years, are appreciating perhaps European basketball more?
I agree. I think so. I mean, you look at Kendrick Nunn, who just won MVP, who has a big following here in the States, and you can see that when he won MVP, I just seen like Derrick Rose retweeted it, and other people have retweeted it, and I'm sure other people have sent him congratulations, and
Isaiah
just
Thomas took notice
Isaiah
also.
Isaiah Thomas, and just me just having conversations of me just being a EuroLeague player or a player that is associated with EuroLeague and being around these NBA circles. I mean, I think people will be surprised at how many NBA players or how many people or coaches watch EuroLeague basketball or support EuroLeague basketball. So I think it's something that is becoming more appreciative, something that's becoming more knowledge just because of maybe of the success of the international players, but I think also the success of players that are playing in EuroLeague. I mean, you look at, like I said, the Kendrick Nunns, the Jabari Parkers, the Mike James, the Shane Larkins, like all these players that are playing in EuroLeague have high level, teammates or relationships or connections with a lot of these NBA players, NBA coaches. A lot of like we talked about before, a lot of the former NBA coaches or general managers or presidents of teams now are former EuroLeague players. So I think you kind of seeing like that appreciation and that growth because of the experiences that each other have had because of that.
I'm watching the trophies on the background
Yeah.
because I want to talk about your playing days. So
Yeah.
I see 2 EuroLeague title trophies.
Yeah. Yeah.
I see stuff from your college, from the Spartans,
Yeah.
because there's obviously the Spartan helmet, which is quite
Yeah.
noticeable.
Yeah.
And yeah, but I don't see stuff from any club. Or
Yeah, I have some pictures and I have some different figurines and stuff like that from my college. I have the 2 EuroLeagues here. These are from Cheska. Um, I have some stuff. A lot of the stuff I have here is because when I moved here, I was playing for Cheska, so a lot of my stuff here is from Cheska. I have some scarves over here from the clubs. I need an Olympiacos scarf. Somebody's watching, send me Olympiacos scarf. But a lot of my 2 EuroLeagues and a lot of my stuff that are from Olympiacos are at my dad's house. My dad, he has a big trophy case, and he has like, I think he has that picture you have behind you hanging up somewhere, and he has a
with
whole bunch of,
princesses, yeah.
yeah, yeah, he has a whole bunch of different things like that. And then the other pictures, I think we talked about before off camera. Like I have a lot of just like in my basement, I have a lot of like Olympiacos stuff and some of the other awards. And I showed you that in my garage, I have a big locker of of different things. But I'm still kind of like sifting through. I can show you here. Like I'm still kind of like sifting through like all these like different things from like EuroLeague I've been saving that I need to like go through, and newspaper articles and all these different stuff that I have that I need to kind of like go through and kind of like eventually put up. So I'm still, that's part of my project, when I retire. But I have so much like kind of like memorabilia and so many different things that I need to kind of go through and just kind of figure out and kind of put together. So but yeah, there's a lot of things there, from my career, a lot of cool things that I'm still, like I said, still
Still
figuring out and
collecting.
still trying to sift through. Yeah, still
Yeah, because
collecting.
watching this, this seems to be a quite cool trophy cave, not necessarily man cave, trophy cave in a work in progress.
Yes,
You,
exactly. Work in progress.
you talked about you had to call it a day in your career. Every player has to at some moment. What was the hardest part of leaving behind? What was the hardest thing that you had to leave behind as a player?
I think it's probably three things. I think the first thing I miss is just the daily grind. Like I miss the days of being in the gym and the early morning workouts, or preparing for a season, or that type of stuff, in the weight room and all those different type of stuff. Those are the things I miss the most. Being with the guys, being in the locker room with the guys, and all of us kind of coming together, kind of for one mission and one journey. And then I miss the competition. Like there's nothing about, like there's certain moments I'm watching in games and I kind of get goosebumps, like the moments, like coming out of a timeout in the middle of the fourth quarter, and you need to get a stop to secure the game, or you need to make a winning play to secure a game, or the lead up, walking down the tunnel and walking into Seth, or walking into
Hear the music.
and hearing the music and hearing the pulse of the crowd and hearing the pulse of the arena, going to a away arena and being the underdog. Like those are the moments that I miss the most, that I know that like on this stage in my life that I'm probably not going to be able to get back, unless I'm going to, some rec league basketball or playing at the playground or something like that. But I think those are the moments that like I truly miss, and those are moments I still miss, watching games, and like I told you before, like there's certain moments and that I see and different things that I miss, or like when guys, like I said, when guys are playing and I like, oh man, like I wish I can play against them, or I wish I can, guard this player. I wish I can do that. Like, the playoffs are starting. So, those moments, like, missing being in the playoffs and the competitive spirit of basketball, those are the things I miss the most.
And what you don't miss at all, that you say,
Uh,
"Oh, great! I'm done with this. I'm done with this." Beep.
being yelled at by being yelled at by the coaches. I would say that. I would say just waking up like in sore, like just waking up and just like after games or after moments, is not knowing what happened. But other than that, those are probably that part's probably the thing I don't miss. being in the training room and doing all that stuff and all the preparation that you need just to kind of get ready. I think that was the part that like as you get older, kind of that you talk to most older players, that's the part that kind of like starts weighing on them. Just the part that like all the stuff that's not fun.
Yeah.
That is like the part that I don't miss the most. But all the other stuff I definitely do miss.
Who was the loudest when yelling at you? Because you have played with for some coaches who really liked to yell when they don't like something. They will say to your face. They will use some colorful words, perhaps. They will say whatever they need to say to pass the
Man,
message.
I've been fortunate enough to be with some really, really great coaches and some really,
This
really,
is also what they have in common. The
yeah,
biggest the biggest yellers are also the
smart.
greatest coaches.
Yeah, I think, probably two. Probably Coach Messina. Obviously Coach Messina. Somebody I love to death and somebody I still talk to, rare, like all the time. But I just remember one film series, like one film video where, we didn't play a good game. And, I was highlighted in the video like multiple times for different things I did.
Oh,
And all I remember is like the phrase he had. How most captions are like didn't screen on pick and roll or didn't do this. His phrase was just WTF. And it was just like, it would just be just doing this, just some boneheaded mistakes, or just like it's like, or Coach Atutis, like I said, Coach Atutis, like I spend the most time with him,
yes.
almost 7 years together. So he's passionate, he's fiery, especially in the moment. So just some of the communication and some of the battles that we had, and like I said, I think me and him openly talk about it. Like we had. I think it was one altercation. Like we almost got into like a verbal argument, almost got into like I wouldn't say a fist fight, but like we were very, it was very hostile. But I think it was like because both of me and him were competitors, and I think both of us are passionate about the game and passionate about how we play. But I would say definitely those two. And then before Coach Ikovic, when I first started, Duda is legendary for for just
Yeah.
just yeah, just if you had Duda, you already know like he's legendary for kind of especially with young players. So I think having a realization of him beginning of my career, Coach, and then Coach Tranquility, I forgot about him. Like I remember we were playing a game, and I'm coming from college, and I think that I'm this isolation player, and I think I'm doing all this stuff. And I think one time I went like 1 on 5. I broke off the play and just went driving down the middle and completely missed the layup. And he called
You went.
timeout. And
So
yeah,
yeah,
this is
yeah. Continue. Yeah.
early in my career, I went like I caught the ball, just went 1 on 5. We were supposed to run like a play, and I just like kind of waved the play off, broke it, tried to go down the lane and completely missed the layup. Team went down, ended up scoring a fast break dunk. He called timeout, and I think he called me every curse word in the book. And I was like, my welcome to, my welcome to like European basketball. So, like I said, I think as a player, you want to be coached hard, and I think when coaches are that passionate about you, I think that they care about you and they realize that your potential, and they realize what you can be. So I'm appreciative that like I've had so many great coaches that have been willing to like coach me hard and curse me out on a daily basis.
I was surprised because like Kyle Hines went 1 against 5. I mean,
Early in my career.
yeah, that was very early in your career. Yeah, you wanted to prove things. You wanted
Yeah.
to show yourself, obviously. Your career is pretty much the definition of a success. I mean, we talked about it in the prologue: titles, individual awards, big contracts with powerhouses, the respect of your peers, teammates, and opponents alike, which is not given. This is something you
Thank you.
earn. Not
Yeah, thank you.
few people get that. Is there something that you wanted to do, but for whatever reason you didn't manage to do at any point in your career?
That I didn't want to do.
Or perhaps in retrospect, of course, right now, because this is everything in retrospect, is there something that you would have done differently?
I don't think there was anything I would have done differently. I think there's two things that I wish that would have happened in my career that I never really got a really chance to do. I think one was the way I left Cheska because it was during COVID. So I never really got a chance to really go back. And we played, but it was still during COVID, and it was still during kind of like a heightened sense of time. So I never really got a chance to kind of go back and to leave on the right terms. with the fans and with the organization and with the club. So I wish going back forward that it wasn't during COVID, and that I had the opportunity to like really leave and really show my true appreciation in person to all the fans and to all the people there. Like I said, I talked to Mr. Ratu, and then Coach Atutis and Natasha and all those different people and my teammates that were there. But I just always felt like it was kind of the emptiness the way I left, and I never really got a chance to kind of close that chapter really I wanted. And I would say the final chapter with the Olympia Milano, I think I was never really satisfied how it ended, because I always felt like we had really good teams. I always felt like we had opportunities, and I think it was evident our first 2 years when we got to the Final Four, and we were a top four team my second year. I think the final 2 years, because of injuries and because of different things that were beyond our control, like we were always close. We were always right there, but I was never really satisfied how that ended, and I felt like I wanted to, help take the team to a Final Four. Not saying the Final Four in Cologne wasn't a real Final Four, but it was a COVID Final Four. And we didn't necessarily have the fans. We didn't have the same feeling of what a Final Four was. And I wanted to allow the fans and allow the fans and the club and the organization to feel what a Final Four was with Milan. And that's something that's always in the back of my head, that I wish that I would have been able to help and contribute in a better way to bring that to the team and to the organization and to the city as well.
But overall, as we said, a lifetime of successes in the EuroLeague.
That's just me being greedy.
and me asking you to be picky, obviously.
Yeah, being a little greedy.
Most recently, there was EuroLeague announced the best, essentially the all-25 team, the best 25 players this century in the EuroLeague. Naturally, you made this list to the surprise of no one.
I was surprised.
What?
I was surprised.
You were surprised?
Yeah.
Why?
Because there's so many great players that have played in EuroLeague. Like there's so many.
Four-time champion, multiple Defensive Player of the Year awards. Are you serious right now?
I guess. Yeah, I guess like I was just like, I look at myself that way, but I don't look at myself that way. Like I look at myself at like, the players that I looked up to from growing up, and I always kind of hold those on a pedestal. And then for me to still be kind of like mentioned in the same breath or the same, category, those, like, it's sometimes still kind of like a surprise to me, So that's why I think like I was like I don't necessarily think it was like me. I was like a foregone conclusion. Like I was honestly like surprised by it. So
okay, to me it was given. No debate about it. I had a hard time picking some players, leaving some players out when I voted.
Yeah,
but
sure.
Know this. I made a story. I made a piece. I don't know if you read it, about the best game from each of the 25 players. I don't know if you read it. Did you see it? Did you read it?
No, I've not seen it, but
okay.
I apologize for that. I have to read it.
No apologies needed. It's better for me, better for this discussion. Can you guess which game I picked from your career?
The best game that I played, I would say the best game or the best meaningful game in my career, I think it would be Game 4 of Olympiacos versus Siena. To me, that's the
game I picked. That's the game I picked. This I wanted to ask you if you would guess if I would pick that game. Yeah. That was the game I picked. So I'm glad that you agree with this, because that you consider this.
It was also the game I was most nervous for, because I don't think many people remember, but that was Joey Dorsey was the starting center. I wasn't the starting center. I was the backup, even though we kind of shared the minutes. But it was my first time playing with that amount of, with that role, over my course of my 2 years. We had 3 centers, or 4 centers actually at that time during that year. And we all kind of like split, but for that majority of that game, I played well. And I also like knew the stakes, and we really didn't know up until the game time whether or not Joey was going to play. We were on the court warming up, and it was still kind of undecided. So I didn't know I was starting until just before the game. And to play Siena and to play against those guys who I guess people would consider they were the perennial favorites, and we didn't want to go back to Italy to play in a Game 5.
Definitely.
And all the things that happened, I think I ended up having to get stitches or something in my eye. I was wearing a Band-Aid, and all the things that kind of went with that made it a special moment. But that was definitely the most nervous I was before a game in probably my entire career.
And yeah, as you said, big responsibility because suddenly you go from underdogs to we
Yeah,
are up to one. This is
yeah,
our chance. This is an
yeah,
opportunity. Let's do this. There's no
yeah.
underdog thing right now. This is we are going to the final four.
Yeah, it was no game five, and I think everything. I mean, we can go like it'll be a long conversation to go everything that happened in the course of the season, but
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, the significance was the historical significance was the year before that Olympiacos was up, and they had won I think game one really big and by like 30 or 40 points.
it was a complete blowout in game one, and then
Exactly.
everything turned upside down.
And then everything turned down. So it was like, I think that was in the back of my mind, and that was also the back I think of the team's mind. And I didn't want to put in a position to let the team down or let the fans down. So I knew that like the moment was now, and thank goodness I was able to play really well in that moment, and to have I guess what to have a I guess you could say a signature game or a signature moment, which not a lot of on that stage, not a lot of players have that opportunity. So I'm glad that I was able to be able to do that.
Uh, there was a lot of question. There was a lot of discussion about who was left out of the all-25 team. I don't know if you have the picture of 25 team in front of you
Yeah.
somehow. Who was your biggest snub in your opinion? Many would say Nicolas.
Yeah. I mean, I think if you look at the longevity of his career, and I think of the impact that he's had, and I think also if you look at where he's placed at as far as his historical numbers in EuroLeague, I would definitely say Nick. I think he's up there. I will also go with like Trajan Langdon or
My
like
pick.
Jay
Two
or
players,
J.R. Holden.
yeah, two players that I voted that didn't make the team. Okay, I know Andrei Kirilenko is debatable because
Yeah,
it was one season, but in my opinion, it was perhaps the most dominant two-way
exactly.
impact from an
I
MVP.
I was going to say him as well because he won MVP, and I think that a lot of that goes because obviously Cheska's not in EuroLeague right now, so I think he's kind of like an out of sight, out of mind type situation. And I
But
think also because I think he played 1 year and they didn't win the EuroLeague, so maybe
yeah,
that's not viewed. But I mean, as far as like you said, that was probably one of the most dominant teams in EuroLeague history, and he was one of the most dominant players in one season, over the course of a year. So I think that, like I said, I think that he can arguably be in it as well. I think so, in
yeah,
my opinion.
but Ryan Lagdon definitely because he had the titles. He was a Final Four MVP. He played
Exactly.
many years. That was a bit surprising for me, at least, that he didn't make the team. Ryan Lagdon also he followed a career in the NBA as an
Yeah.
executive, like
Yeah.
many others. Are you going to make it the Final Four? Are you planning any trip to Abu Dhabi?
Yeah, that's the goal. I mean, I think it's going to be a fun Final Four. I mean, it's the first one in Abu Dhabi. I think it's going to be a very unique experience and a different experience, and I really want to go and have the opportunity to witness it. It's my first time going as a spectator, so I'm excited about that. I'm a little nervous about that, but I'm also excited about that. I'm going to have to bring two T-shirts because I'm going to probably be sweating up the first one because I'm going to be feeling feeling like I'm going to be playing just as nervous, but.
It's going to be
Yeah, I'm
hot
excited.
anyway.
Yeah, I know it's going to be hot, but I'm really excited about the opportunity. I'm really excited about all that's going to come with that and this unique experience for everyone. And I'm looking forward to watching good basketball.
You made I remember you made the comment. If I remember correctly, it was after Spanoulis with Monaco beat Panathinaikos on the road. That was a huge win for Monaco. And you said that how glad you are seeing Billy now excelling as a coach in the EuroLeague. And now we see Billy Spanoulis. We see Thiago Splitter, who was one
Yeah,
of the best centers in the EuroLeague in the
yep,
zeros before he moved to the NBA. And I was thinking, wow, we see now this kind of matchup that these guys faced each other.
yeah.
I don't remember the highlights, but it's quite possible that Spanoulis perhaps scored against Thiago Splitter back in the day, or maybe
I'm
Splitter made the
sure.
difference on him. And I'm thinking, wow, imagine if Mike Batiste becomes a coach in the EuroLeague, and then Kyle
Uh
Hines becomes a coach in the EuroLeague, and we
yeah.
will also see the Mike Batiste against Kyle Hines matchup, which was legendary
Yeah.
with you as players. If we see it on the EuroLeague benches, that would be something. I mean, no disrespect to any other coaches, of course, but how cool it is right now to see these former players becoming coaches. Saras,
Um
Spanoulis.
it's I mean it's awesome. Like it's awesome. I think that to be able to, see these guys like me and Mike because Mike is with the Toronto Raptors, and we've had opportunity to have conversations the last couple of weeks. We played them twice, and we talked about the EuroLeague top 25. And I always joke with him. I was like, "Man, when are you going to go back to EuroLeague to coach?" And I think it's something that we always kind of joke about. But I think it's like I think it would be something that would be great, for him or for other EuroLeague guys to have the opportunity to go back and coach. And I think that you're seeing it more now. I think you're seeing it more now, like the Saras, the Spanulis, the Splitters, all these different, high level players that were, giants in EuroLeague that are now going back to be coaches. So I think it'll be great. Yeah, and I mean, I think Mike is a great coach. Me seeing him, me talking to him, and to me how he relates to the players and how he understands the players and how he understands the game, and his standard for playing the game is high. And I think that he would deliver that message to players. So I'm a big advocate for Mike Batiste being a future EuroLeague head coach for sure.
Which of the players that you faced or you were teammates with would make a really good EuroLeague coach in your opinion? I can think of many, but sometimes the players we think that they would make a good coach, for one reason or the other, they pick a different career
Yeah,
path. To give you two
yeah,
quick examples, there's this guy, Dimitris Diamandidis,
yeah, yeah,
yeah, and another guy is Theo Papaloukas. I
yeah.
mean, when they were
Both of them.
playing, there were discussions about, wow, imagine the way they read the game, the
Yeah,
big basketball minds that they are. Imagine how awesome it would be for them to coach. It would be
yeah,
amazing. It would be so successful. But maybe these guys don't want to become coaches in the end of the
yeah,
day. So,
yeah.
which players, in your opinion, would make a good EuroLeague coach?
I mean, we talked about point guards. I think Nick Kalafdis. I think that like he reads the game, he understands the game. I think he has a different way to approach the game. So I think he would be a really good head coach, just because most point guards are are really good head coaches. Alec Peters from Olympiacos. He's
Yeah,
going
yeah,
to
he has a
be
great mind.
he's going to be a future head coach. That's something that's going to happen. It's just, he's just kind of buying his time, shooting 40, 50, 90, with Olympiacos, but I
Maybe
think he's
50.
going to be,
The guy was flirting with 50, 60, 90.
yeah, I
Please,
know.
please,
He's,
please.
and he's, yeah. So I think that he's going to be, a really, really good head coach. And then I think somebody like two players that I played with, I think could be interesting head coaches. I think Kostas Solukas, just because he has another feel, another understanding of the game. And I think that like he could be a head coach. Sometimes he looks like a head coach, the way he talks, the way he moves. And I think this Kostas Papanikolaou, I think he could be a good head coach, just because he has a very good feel and understanding of the game. And I think that maybe he might want to choose a different profession. But I think those two, just me kind of being around them, I think they can definitely be good head coaches, or people that are good at kind of teaching the game of basketball.
I really want your opinion and your thoughts about the NBA Europe buzz
Yeah.
that has been going on.
I mean, I think it's interesting, it's intriguing. I think anybody that's been kind of involved in basketball in Europe and being EuroLeague, um, kind of knew this was coming, or knew this was on the horizon of this. I think maybe people are kind of surprised of the timing of how it's coming about. But I think it's definitely interesting. I think it's intriguing on all levels. I mean, for the NBA, for FIBA, for EuroLeague. I think my only hope, as somebody that is a big fan of EuroLeague, big fan of European basketball, is that all three parties do what's best for the game in Europe. I think that's the biggest thing. I don't think I think that if that has to be the main goal in mind. And I think, for all three to hopefully, come to the point where they can work together. Because I mean, if you think about it, I mean, these three, no disrespect to the other leagues, but these three leagues are the biggest three leagues, or biggest three names in basketball, the NBA, FIBA, and EuroLeague. And you think about, global basketball, you will probably mention those three first. So I think it's just ideally that, if they're able to, come together and be collaborative and try to figure out a situation that works best, that's going to help the players first, help the clubs first, and help the game, as a whole become much better, then I'm all for it. But I think that has to be the biggest thing to me, and that's the part that I want to see. I just want to see that the integrity and of the game remain, the beauty of the game remain. Not only for the fans but for the players, and everybody involved.
Do you think that the American audience can be more interested in the EuroLeague?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I think that overall, in my opinion, that I think that the I think basketball. I think the thing that EuroLeague basketball has that is very special is, first of all, the every game matters mentality, right? If you look at it, it's almost like the NCAA tournament, every single game, because that's the kind of intensity, that's kind of how the game is played, and that's kind of how the game is looked at. Every possession matters, every minute matters. So I think for American fans, I think if they look at it from that perspective, I think it's definitely will be intriguing, for fans, just because of that, just because of that. You look at like I said, that the NCAA tournament is one of the biggest, events in American sports. So I think if you look at it from that perspective, I think that's what makes EuroLeague basketball so unique in that regards compared to the NBA. And then also I think the biggest thing is just the fandom, like there's not many places in the world that are like Oka or like Seth um or like in Partizan
Belgrade.
or Red Star or Tel Aviv or Fenerbahce or some of these places. I think the fans and the fandom is what makes EuroLeague special. So I think, like, those are the things that you look at the viral videos on social media, and people are
Yeah.
floating around these videos of Partizan or the fans or all these different things, or Red Star and all these different places, or Athens or whatever. These are the things that are kind of been floating around. So I think that's what makes the game special. And I think that once EuroLeague fans, or I should say basketball fans on globally, kind of get opportunity to watch these things, I think that's what makes it special. And I think just talking to like my friends, for example, like my friends, they weren't sold on a EuroLeague until they came to a Final Four, or they weren't sold on a EuroLeague until they came to Olympiacos Panathinaikos game, or our Partizan, our game in Partizan, or game in Red Star, or at the time when the game with Fenerbahce or whatever. So I think, like, those are the moments, like, if people are able, if they can find a way to bring the crowd, into the viewing experience, and really give the fans an opportunity to watch and experience that, then I think that is going to be the thing that'll help separate the games and make it more intriguing and interesting for American fans to watch.
Yeah, and while we were saying this, I was thinking how many reaction videos are on YouTube. NBA fan reacts to EuroLeague atmosphere.
Yeah,
NBA fans, what is it's, and they have hundreds
it's
of thousands of views. It's like
yeah.
this is it. This is exactly what it's the selling point.
Yeah, it's
The
exactly. I
atmosphere.
think the atmosphere, and then like you said, in just other moments, like the intense moments, like how many viral videos that EuroHoops post, or all these people post of the coaches and the coaches' reaction, and the difference between the coaches in EuroLeague and the coaches in the NBA, or the difference between this and that. Like, it's always kind of like that contrast. But I think that's kind of where it makes it interesting. I think that's what it can make it interesting for fans. And the games come on at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, so it's like, if you have opportunity to kind of catch it, I think it's a kind of a different time frame. But like I said, I think there's little things that they can figure out. But I do see there is a lot of mass appeal in EuroLeague, and I think people will have opportunity to enjoy it.
Kyle, I don't have any words, as usual, of how much I appreciate all this discussion. The one thing I wanted to say in a half-jokingly fashion, okay, American people react fondly. They are amazed by this kind of atmosphere in Belgrade or in Athens. I don't think they would react in such a manner if they saw a basketball game in Manchester. because because in the NBA Europe scenarios, there are talks about teams in Manchester. Hey, no disrespect to the Manchester crowd. Maybe there are some hardcore basketball fans over there that we are not aware of. I'm just saying.
No, I mean, honestly, like, you don't know until it happens. To be honest with
Yeah,
you,
yeah.
like, you don't know until it happens. Like, you never know what can happen, and just talking to for example, like, talking to people that are in Dubai.
Yeah.
And witnessing that atmosphere. And I think maybe like 4 or 5 months ago, I think people would have been very, very questionable about, would you be able to have that type of atmosphere in Dubai? And look at it now. Like you see some of the games, and I haven't had a chance to be there in person, but I watched some of the games and some of the crowds, and it looks like a really great experience. So I guess you don't know until you build it, but I think that is the beauty of EuroLeague basketball or European basketball is that it's very infectious, and it has the opportunity to spread. And I think like once you watch a game or once you watch certain moments of a game, I think that natural fanaticism, I guess you could say if that's a word, is
Yeah.
kind of brought out of people. So yeah, I mean just think about it like you think about it all the your very first EuroLeague game, or some of the people that you bring to for EuroLeague games for the first time, and think about how they react.
Yeah.
But
There's
just
a
imagine, like so like I said, I think there's opportunities there, but I do think that it just has to be um handled in the appropriate way.
Hey, who knows? Maybe Manchester fans are going to bring that soccer energy in
You
basketball,
never.
and everything is going to be insane.
You never know. You'll be surprised at like some of these college towns and some of these places that have like some of the best fans, and you'd be like, why are fans here or why are fans here? But like you said, you never know. So basketball has that beautiful component to it that it can bring people from all walks of life together and make them crazy about a sport.
Kyle, I appreciate this conversation that we had so much.
Yeah,
I
me
know
too.
that I took long enough of your time.
It's okay. It's
But
okay, man. I love talking to you, and I love talking. You know me. I love talking EuroLeague hoops and EuroLeague basketball and all that different type of stuff. So I'm always good.
once again, I appreciate and thank you for this conversation. That was, as always, very illuminating. Every conversation with you is great. Hearing you talk about basketball, hearing you describe the stories from your career and from your life now as a coach, it's always great. Thank you very
Thank
much,
you.
Kyle.